point. Well, Pat Farmer, he's about to run across the country in support of The Voice. It's another ex-Lib campaigning against you. Does that hurt your efforts?
No, this is the strength of the Liberal Party. People will have views right across the board when it comes to The Voice, and there will be Labor Party members who also don't think that The Voice is the right way to go about dealing with the disadvantage that we're seeing in Indigenous communities. But the great thing about the Liberal Party is that we can speak up and we can have different views. We allow conscience votes. The Labor Party don't allow that. But the most important thing now is that we're all able to have a very sensible discussion around The Voice. For me, it's a point of principle. I think we should have equality in our Constitution. That's something that's a principle that goes back to ancient Greek with Aristotle. We've always held that ideal that everyone should be equal before the law and that the very best constitution should enshrine that equality. That's the type of debate and discussion we should be having around The Voice, and my hope is we'll be able to do that for the next 4 to 5 months.
Simon Birmingham says he won't campaign against The Voice. Will you?
So I will be there as a shadow minister articulating the decision that was made by our shadow cabinet. As I've said, this is a point of principle for me. Everything that we've done as a nation has all been about trying to get equality for all Australians, equality in our Constitution for all Australians, equality in the way that our law works for all Australians. And that is why I think the decision that we've made is the right one. And I will continue to prosecute that up until the day that we're going to have the referendum. And I would say to the government, one of the things that we don't know about now is when is the referendum going to be held? Because one of the things we've got to make sure that we continue to do as a nation, why this is a very, very important debate. We also need to be debating on those issues that are going to impact Australians every single day. The cost of living pressures in particular that they're facing.
So I mean, you mentioned this just then. So how will you prosecute? How will you campaign precisely against The Voice?
Well, we'll go out there and we'll make the case and we'll make the argument as to why there's a better way. For instance, in Western Victoria, we don't know who's going to represent or be on a local body. We don't know who's going to be on a regional body. And how can you have a national voice if you don't have those building blocks of local and regional voices? It's like building a house and you're starting with the roof and there's no walls and no foundation. These are the things that we will be out there articulating. We'll be articulating about the progress we've made in making sure that everyone is equal in our Constitution and how we want to make sure that we continue down that path, not reversing that path. I mean, it's the famous Martin Luther King saying that what we want is a nation where everyone is judged by their character, not by the colour of their skin. That's the ideal. That's the ideal that the Enlightenment Project has been seeking to implement for the last 200-300 years. And that's where we think Australia should be heading. We'll continue to be out there making that case in a very constructive, in a very civil way to ensure that the Australian people can make a decision which is incredibly important. It's about our Constitution and adding a new chapter to our Constitution. We need to be able to debate and discuss this.